Oh my god, this is actually really good. Welcome, it's Gerry here. Have you ever had a mental itch that you needed to scratch? I have, and it was activated recently when I made my video about the Retro VGA emulator, where I turned a $5 Raspberry Pi Pico into a tiny but unbelievably cool retro computer and video game console emulator. If you haven't seen that video, I'll leave a link in the description, and a card should appear now that you can click on if you want to go see it. In that video, I was testing out the joystick functionality using an old VIC-20 joystick I had lying around. And I started to think about this gadget I'd seen years ago, maybe a decade or more. It was a little joystick that you could attach to a regular keyboard, and it would operate the arrow keys for you. At the time, I was very skeptical about it, but obviously there must have been a small lingering doubt in my mind, because the idea popped back into my head, and now I really feel the need to investigate. So I went to the Thingiverse website and searched for keyboard joystick, and sure enough, there are a number of different designs available. So today, I intend to scratch that itch. I'll try some of these designs and find out once and for all whether the idea has any merit. So why don't you join me and see for yourself. Alright, so we're on the Thingiverse website. I've searched for keyboard joysticks. I've come up with a few designs that I think I might try. First one is this. Looks quite cool. It attaches to the arrow keys of the num keypad using Velcro or using double-sided tape. That's one way of doing it. The second design here is slightly different. It seems to attach to the 5 key in the middle of the num keypad, and then it just has little legs that push down on the different arrow keys for you. So that's a different take on how you might do it. And the third one is very similar to the first one, but this one actually has 2 different models, one for arrow keys and the other for the WASD keys. So the arrow keys obviously are great for simple games like Snake, PAC-MAN, things like that. But the WASD keys is what you would use for something like a first-person shooter. So yeah, I wonder how that would go. Anyway, let's download the files and I'll get the 3D printer cranked up and we'll get these things built. I accidentally left the brim mode on these ones, so have to remove those. Shouldn't be too hard. Okay, so I've given these things a coat of paint, made them red so that they would stand out a bit more in the video when I go to use them. So we're going to test these now. We'll call this one here A, and this big one here B, and these guys here will be C. Okay, so we're going to play Pac-Man. This will be perfect for this sort of setup. This is PAC-MAN Championship Edition DX Plus off of Steam. Let's give it a go. Oh my god, this is actually really good. Whoops. Yeah, this is actually... Whoops. Got to get a little bit used to it. But it's so much better than I thought it would be. Oops, I missed that one. Well, the only problem is I suck at Pac-Man. Well, I have to say I'm amazed. It's not exactly like a normal joystick because it only has 4 positions, obviously, because it's 4 keys. So you have to be a little bit careful about going in those directions because I'm a bit sloppy and I sort of want to go in an arc sometimes. But I have to say, that's so much better than I thought it was going to be. It really made playing that game a pleasure, actually. I actually like it. I think I like it more than I like using the keys. Well, definitely more than I like using these keys. These keys over here, because they're closer together and there's only 4 of them instead of, the numpad there, is my preferred way of playing. But I have to say, it's so much better than I thought it was going to be. Okay, well, I could be here for hours. Let's try the next joystick and see how that goes. Right, so this joystick is different. It actually goes onto the 5 key, and then it has these little claws that sort of push down on the keys either side. I'm going to reuse this piece of double-sided tape and see if that works. Otherwise, I'll get a fresh one. Okay, so it's sitting there. Is that going to work? All right, seems... Yeah, well, that has more movement now because it's not held down on all of the keys. Interesting. Okay. Where am I? Wow, okay, this one seems better. It has more movement, he says, completely stuffing it up. Yeah, there's more play in this one because of the way it's sitting. The problem is that the tape, the yanking too hard on it and the tape is potentially going to come off. I have to say that I think the design of this one is better because you get so much more movement. The only thing that's letting it down is, of course, stuck on with tape, and I can't move it too fast without ripping the tape off. So I've got to learn to not, move it too far. But apart from that, it's actually really good. Well, I mean, that's great. Like I said, the only problem is that only having one piece of tape means that you have to be careful not to push too far or you're just going to rip it off. But that's just getting used to it. Because it's sitting in the middle and it's pushing down on the keys from the center, you get more of a joystick feel, actually. Yeah, really impressed with that. Okay, so let's put this one on. So this is the only one that actually had dedicated one for the arrow keys and another one for the WASD keys, which is the same. I only just realised is obviously the same configuration as the arrow keys, just in a different position. There you go. So you can't see the one on the other side at the moment, but let's just try this out. I imagine that this is going to be quite similar to the first one. Yep. Okay, let's try again. Yeah, this one feels better actually. It's got larger pads on it, and it feels easier to control. Yeah. Not perfect, but but yeah, pretty good actually. Because it has larger pads, it is actually more prone to pressing the left and the right ones when you're pressing the up and the down ones as well. So this is a very temperamental type of design, I think, because it depends on the size of the keys and it depends on really how far above the keys you are. I mean, don't get me wrong, it works, and it's just a matter of technique. It's a lot easier for me to see what I'm doing when it's going slow. Yeah, so it's really more, instead of grabbing the joystick and holding it the whole time, it's actually a lot easier just to nudge the joystick in the different directions. Which probably means that the size of this joystick is about right, because it's much easier to manipulate just by pressing the keys. Just by, flicking your fingers to press the keys. Alright. Let's try the arrow keys. So why is that not as... I thought that would be easier actually, but... seems to have issues as well. Okay, stop. So what's going on there? I mean, you're suffering from the same problem that when you press down, it's going to press down on all three keys. So you're getting down, left and right at the same time. Yeah, so that's not great. So how does the game even know which one you're pressing? And pressing up is fine because that's pulling all these three keys up. But when you press down, it's pressing down and left and down right. So is it just coincidence that when you press down, the game is programmed to give preference to down, or it's trying to go down and left and right at the same time, and so it's just deciding it can only go down? I think that's more likely. Okay. Let me just give this a bit more of a play. Yeah, so definitely that's not so good because of the problem of, three keys in a row. You're going to be pressing all three keys at once. So, yeah, I guess I should check out the WASD key configuration. Maybe I'll use a different game for that. I shooting at? Was that a friend or a foe? I've played this game a couple of times. Oh, I'm supposed to be playing with them. You know what? I'm not hating this. I'll be honest with you. Because I'm not great with, the WASD type. Oops, sorry, mate. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. The poor guy. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm not so great with that. And so having a tiny little joystick there instead of pressing the keys, I don't know. So I can still press the S key here. And what do you need? The Q key? Do you need the E key? If you have to get to the E key, that might be a problem. No, you need the Q key. I can still get to that. Okay. Did I accidentally kill somebody? Yeah. So it's not too bad, really. Yeah, but you still do suffer from, like, literally as you press backwards, you're pressing backwards, but you're also pressing both the left and the right at the same time. So it's great to go forwards and left and right, but backwards is a bit dodgy because, you're sort of going backwards at an angle, whatever the computer determines came first, I guess, the left or the right. So yeah. So I guess that's not really suitable. Let's get out of here. Okay, so testing is over. What are my thoughts? Well, I think these devices do have a place. When I was playing Pac-Man using one of these joysticks, I felt like I was playing Pac-Man in the way that Pac-Man should be played. It added up a different dimension to playing the game. So I think the devices have merit, but they do have their problems. Let's not forget that. The most obvious one is, of course, you have to attach them to your keys. And using double-sided tape, or perhaps maybe Velcro dots would be a good idea. But you will end up ripping up one of your keycaps. Not that they're very difficult to put back down, but it's not ideal. Now you could do what I've done and dedicate an old keyboard to it and just leave it permanently attached. That could work. The other thing is that these arrow key ones basically don't work if you need to go in reverse, because obviously when you pull back, you're pressing down on all three keys. So if you're playing a driving game or something like that, and another key was the brake key or something like that, that could work. So I think that for first-person shooters like Destiny that I was playing, you could possibly design one of these. So instead of using the WASD keys, however you want to say it, it used the WASZ keys and then reconfigure your game. That could be a real possibility, because I know a lot of people have a problem with using these keys. I did for a very long time, but those games are so much better played using these keys and a mouse. I felt like this one was the most like a traditional joystick because it only attaches to one key, and so therefore you have a lot more play in it as you're pressing down on the keys. I didn't like the fact that it has these sharp bits on it, so I think this could be redesigned. And in fact, I was thinking, I wonder if you could design this so it had a keycap built into it. Then you could remove the keycap for the number 5 key and just put it in there. I also wonder whether this type of device might be useful for somebody who has mobility issues, who can't use a keyboard as well as they would like. And something like this could just be an aid. I'd love to know what you guys think about this. Is it ridiculous, or does it have some potential? Have you ever used one of these? Do you think it would be useful for somebody who perhaps doesn't have full mobility? If you have a strong opinion, leave a comment. I think we'll leave the video there. So hope you enjoyed that. If you like what I'm doing, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. Ciao.